So my portfolio is basically 100% crypto. I don't diversify. In fact, I barely have any pesos in my bank account. All of my money is crypto. Hindi naman nag-iba yung technology just because nag-iba yung perception ng market about it eh.
Hi everyone. So we are in for a treat today. We have one of the OGs in the cryptoverse here in the Philippines. We have Luis Buenaventura, who has been investing, dabbling into the crypto space since 2014. So Luis, thank you for joining us.
Thanks so much, Marvin. Good afternoon, everyone. Super happy to be here.
So I want to start this off, no? 2014, I think the conversations about Bitcoin was so different from where it is today. At that time, what caused you, what pushed you to go into the cryptocurrency space already? And there weren't a lot of formal exchanges at that time as compared to now. And the wallets that were there before are so different compared to what we have right now. How did you get into this?
So I've always been a technologist. I've started 3 different technology companies since I was in my 20s. And right around 2013 and 2014, I was looking for the next thing. Kasi I was looking for the next technology that we could build something around, build a business around. And ideally, would be something that was solving a Philippine problem. And my previous company was an e-commerce company that didn't do so well kasi hirap na hirap kami to do online payments. This is a long time ago, no? So wala pang GCash, wala pang Paymaya, credit card penetration was super low. And I saw Bitcoin and I was like, maybe this is a solution for the online payment challenge for countries like the Philippines that doesn't have, kind of stuff like that. And it turns out it wasn't really. It wasn't a great solution for online payments, but it was. There was something else there. Eh? So when I kind of got into it, the more I read about it, the more I understood about it, the more I became more and more obsessed. And you'll probably hear this story from a lot of old school Bitcoiners. Na the more they read about the white paper and kind of the problems it was trying to solve, everyone suddenly took economics lessons to try to understand what's happening with the world, and then wala na, it became an obsession. You couldn't stop thinking about it after a while. So ganon, that's kind of my path, no? Like I initially thought it was an online payment solution. We're still trying to solve that problem, yung Bitcoin as a payment solution. We're still trying to figure out how to do that. But I found something else there. Eh. So parang the notion that you have this store of value na hindi controlled by any central authority, central bank, central government, whatever. It's kind of governed only by mathematics and I guess electricity, and that is a very unique proposition. I mean, now there's lots of cryptos, no, but Bitcoin was kind of the first na nagpauso nun and kind of set the stage for everyone else.
I have a question on this, and there's a lot of people who are not investing in cryptos altogether. They find a hard time for them to attach the value of Bitcoin since it's just made up of algorithms and computer transactions. What made you realize that okay, this may not be backed up by a central bank, or this may not be there's no gold attached to this? What made you shift that this still has value? This is something that people will transact on either as a medium of exchange or a store of value in the future.
Right. So if you go back through the history of money, and this is the part where you put on your economics hat, no? Because parang this is not like normal information that people know about, no? If you think about how money first evolved, it was all agreements naman between people, eh. Na like back in the very very olden times, no? So we were talking about salt. We use salt as a way to transact because it just happened to be an asset that was easy to carry around, and you could weigh it, and then if you had like a pound of salt, that was equivalent to a week's worth of wages, for example. But like the asset itself doesn't matter. Eh? The asset itself is purely a token that parang it's agreed upon by the sender and the recipient or whoever, no, that society. And Bitcoin is kind of the same. It operates purely on agreement, meaning that every Bitcoin person, every Bitcoiner, transacts with another Bitcoiner, and there's an agreement that this is worth something to them. How do we determine the value of it? Well, I mean, the market does every single day, every single minute, every second, diba? Yun yung nangyayari doon. And in many ways, Bitcoin is actually a much more pure market because hindi mo nga siya ma-shut off eh. So 24/7, 365 days a year, the market is reassessing how much it values Bitcoin. As I'm sure you're gonna talk about today, it's not doing so well today. Earlier this year, it was doing very well. So the perception of Bitcoin is actually a very pure indicator of how the market actually looks at this thing. Because it's a little bit harder to, I would say, parang move its price as a central authority, because there is no central authority that is moving the price of Bitcoin. There's a whole bunch of big people who are trying to affect the market price, but none of them are really have control. Not in the same way as the Banco Central or the Federal Reserve has control over their respective currencies. So yun yung that's kind of the thought behind it. That and the more that you will learn, the more that I learned about money, the more I realized that there's something really wrong about the way that our monetary policy has evolved over the last several hundred years. And parang I was looking for an alternative. I'm not saying that Bitcoin is necessarily the answer to that, but it certainly seems to have very strong potential, because siya lang yung yung talagang it went in a different direction, right? So let's not even bother to have a central bank or a central authority managing the monetary policy of this thing. It's all just math, because people are people make mistakes, people get greedy, people are influenced by other people. So, and math has no biases, diba? You can't change it. So ayun, that's the it's just a different approach to an age-old problem.
I like when you segue onto what's happening to the market right now, because that's what I wanted to also ask. We've seen Bitcoin hit around 64,000 US dollars, and it's around below 33,000 US dollars as of this recording right now. And then Ethereum below 2,000, BNB below 300 US dollars. My question is this: everyone knows that Bitcoin or the crypto market in general is very, very volatile. What's your strategy right now, seeing where we are, seeing also from the current highs, and then lalo ka na, you were positioned earlier, so most likely your base is lower than most of the people who's coming in at 2021. So my question is twofold. For those who have invested early on that have a lower base, what should be the approach, given that we are dropping, or we're still currently dropping, and for those that have bought higher a couple of months back?
Right. Yeah. Okay, so yeah, very different approaches, no? Kasi yung cost basis mo really matters in this conversation. I think more than that, also, not just the cost basis, but also, how big a part of your portfolio are we talking about? In my case, and this is the part where it's gonna be kind of weird now, no? And this is why I always tell people, don't copy me. So my portfolio is basically 100% crypto. I don't diversify. In fact, I barely have any pesos in my bank account. All of my money is crypto. So I'm at that stage now where I'm all in. So even when, how they say on Twitter, BTFD, buy the dip, right? Pag mababa yung price, buy the dip.
Yeah.
I can't buy the dip, dude. I don't have pesos anymore. So what will I buy it with? All of my money is already in crypto. So sobrang nasanay na ako na yung net worth ko over the last 7 years is just all over the place, right? I mean, sometimes I'm worth a lot, sometimes I'm not worth a lot. Ganun lang siya. And as long as you are kind of able to live at a certain quality of life naman, you're not hungry, you're not destitute naman, I think that's fine. I've kind of just learned that is kind of how my life is if you commit to this stuff 100%. And which is why I say, don't copy me, because it's a very parang emotional. It's an emotional roller coaster to kind of live your life that way. If you were similar though, na you bought at I guess what was my cheapest bit? My cheapest Bitcoin was like 10,000 pesos, I think. So this was like 2015. There was a time kasi in 2015 na nag-drop siya eh.
$200?
Yeah, to $200. Yeah. So kasi so a little bit of Bitcoin history, no. So 2014 was one of the first really big all-time highs. So that was $1,100. And then over the course of the following year, kasi it dropped pretty hard, all the way down to 180 yung lowest niya at that time. And then from 180, kind of it started to recover, but it took 2 years before it even got back to the parang $1,000 range.
You entered the $200, then it dropped more. It dropped massively already. What was your frame of mind at that time? Because I hear a lot of people, it's easy to say for those people who have been longer in the crypto space to buy now because their base was very low. But what was your mentality at that time when no one knew it would hit to 1,000, 10,000, 60,000?
Yeah. No, and those exact sentiments, you'll see them again this year. Kasi mababa ulit ngayon eh. 'Di ba? So, whatever my sentiments were when it was in the $200 range, you'll see people having those exact same sentiments now, even though it's $30,000. It's because they bought at a higher price and now it's 50% of that price, right? So, I think that the thing that always makes me feel a little better is that no matter what the price of Bitcoin is, I believe in the fundamental value of the technology, that it is an alternative to kind of everything that we're seeing in the traditional fiat space, the traditional currencies. So I'll always believe that regardless of where the price goes. Hindi naman nag-iba yung technology just because nag-iba yung perception ng market about it eh. Now, obviously that's easier said than done, because if you've got like 100% of your portfolio in this asset that is suddenly losing its value very, very quickly over the last few months, your faith is gonna be tested. Thankfully, I've gone through this 3 times in the last 7 years. So medyo sanay na kami na parang man. So like we woke up I guess that must have been, when was it? Middle of May this year, nung very sharp yung drop niya eh. So we woke up and it was like, oh man, okay, it looks like we're gonna be it looks like the winter is starting again, right? So in the crypto space, we have this thing called the crypto winter, which is I mean, obviously you can kind of guess na parang this is when the market is just cold, right? It drops and then it's sideways for a really long time. So we saw this in 2015 to 2016. We saw this in 2018 to 2019. We may see this already beginning right now. We're not sure yet. There's still a possibility that it'll recover, but parang ganun kahahaba yung mga crypto winters eh. It's always a couple of years. You're not gonna see a magic recovery. Pag mababa siya kasi it takes a long time for the market to fully regain its confidence eh. And obviously, the market of crypto kasi is global, diba? So it takes the world a long time to kind of change its mind about something. So ayun, so mahaba yung hold mo. And pag nasanay ka kasi na ganun yung thinking mo, you start thinking about time in terms of 3-year holds, 3 or 4-year time frames, not so much, kind of these short-term gains, which is kind of one of the things we always try to repeat to first-timers. Parang stop thinking about it like it's a short-term gain. You had to have been lucky to get short-term gains from crypto. You're not like just because you did it once successfully doesn't make you a tech guru or whatever, right? I mean, madali kasi like everyone can become a guru in the last 6 months because like the price of crypto was just up. Everything was green, diba? Like basically anything you picked was gonna go up. And now, here's the reckoning. So, so this is the part where everyone gets tested. How much do you actually believe in the fundamental value of this technology for society? Not just in terms of parang an appreciating investment or something. Dito natin makikita. And that's why we have these terms in the crypto space, weak hands versus diamond hands. Like who holds hardest, diba? Yung mga ganun eh. There's a lot of medyo propaganda that it's like, okay, whatever. I'm not a huge fan of it. Pero ganun ganun yung thinking in the crypto space because people, their faith in this stuff gets shaken pag mababa na yung price. As we're kind of seeing now, no, we're talking over 50% na for Ethereum. It is over 50% yung drop niya.
Got it. So if you believe in it so much, then this should be a time for you to either double down, accumulate at lower prices. I guess the biggest fear of people is, if I buy now, I don't know how low it will go. What if it goes? What if it goes even lower? Did you ever parang question yourself that I bought at 200, now it's 150? I should have waited on it. Or are you on the side of, I see a lot of maximalists looking at it. Don't look at the US dollar equivalent anymore. Just look at how many satoshis you have, or look at how many bitcoins you have, because that's what matters more than.
Well, I'm not at that level yet. I mean, I thought that I was a Bitcoin maxi, but actually, for people who don't know the term, no, Bitcoin maximalists are people who believe that the only cryptocurrency that matters is Bitcoin. They fully ignore all of the innovations of, everyone, Ethereum, Cardano, all of these other players. They think that only Bitcoin matters. That's where we should be spending all of our time and focus. I actually think that that's a very unrealistic way to look at the world, because that's kind of like, it's like you're trying to ignore all of the things that have happened in the last 5 years, or 6 years, I guess, for Ethereum. It was launched in 2015. The thing is, you can't deny the fact that there is still new things being discovered for blockchain technologies in general. Ethereum is just one of those examples. There's so many others out there, and you discredit yourself when you choose to ignore them as if they don't exist. I don't think they're scams. I think that they're genuine attempts to do something good for the world. Whether or not they're gonna be successful, that's another story, no? But I don't think we can just ignore them. So like, I'm actually a little bit more parang open about these other things, but at the same time, I'm very critical also. Diba? Parang whenever some new cryptocurrency comes along and says, parang, oh, we're 1,000 times faster than Bitcoin, and then we're, like all of that stuff is like, okay, prove it. The first thing you have to do is prove it, because Bitcoin has been around for 11 years. And you guys have been around for, I don't know, 11 months. Diba? So parang mataas na yung burden of proof ngayon kasi may Bitcoin na tayo Pero I will not shut off my doors to just everything. I mean, I'll still try to learn as much as I can. I think this whole space is changing as we're learning. And I mean, you're kind of starting to see some of this stuff now. No, you're gonna observe your first really long slump in the price of the crypto market, and you're gonna see what happens to the community pag nagganito na yung and it'll be very interesting. There's more people now in the cryptocurrency industry than there ever has been. Now there's like 300 million people in the world. That's the highest number we've ever had.
This is from my own personal context. When I do stocks, heavy technicals, fundamentals, because it's so new, I think there's still a lot of unknown, that there's more speculation more than just the charts. Even if you look at all of the other tokens and coins right there, we really haven't seen apps built around it. So I think that's when becomes realistic, when there's a lot of real world applications on whatever tokens or protocols that are being made. You mentioned about new tokens. I'm curious about your take on this. You think Ethereum will flip Bitcoin?
There is a chance that it will happen. And actually, my argument for this is completely unrelated to technical analysis, and you'll like this. You'll like this argument because sobrang wala siyang kinalaman sa charts. I think that Ethereum will solve the climate argument faster than Bitcoin will. So you've probably heard about how there's a lot of arguments na Bitcoin is bad for the environment kasi malakas siya sa kuryente, right? That is a consequence of the technology. The proof of work, Bitcoin mining algorithm is very, very electricity intensive. We've always known this. And there's always been this narrative that Bitcoin is bad for the environment. It's just that it became so big this year. Now, finally, people can't ignore it anymore. So they're really hammering Bitcoin very hard na it is bad for the environment. Now, the proof of work algorithm at the center of Bitcoin is the same as the algorithm at the center of Ethereum. However, Ethereum is gonna move away from that by next year. So, i-replace nila yung algorithm na yon completely. It's not gonna be proof of work anymore. It's gonna be this thing called proof of stake. And it will consume something like not even 10% of the current electricity that Ethereum uses. And so in my mind, that is the biggest catalyst for flipping their positions in terms of market cap. Because I think na mapapako kasi yung Bitcoin dun sa narrative na yon, hindi mo siya maaalis until I don't even know what it would actually take to convince the world that Bitcoin is no longer environmentally unfriendly. The problem is proof of work cannot occur without electricity consumption, and it needs electricity consumption so much that it doesn't even matter where you get it from. It's always gonna be a very, very large consumer of electricity. That's the nature of the algorithm. So, ayun, I don't know that Bitcoin will ever completely be able to get away from this narrative. And because of that, because of the yung strategy ng Ethereum na eventually they're gonna shift to that proof of stake, you will be able to rewrite the narrative for Ethereum and say, "Now this is the carbon neutral cryptocurrency." I mean, I'm sure that people are already writing that headline actually. So, that's what I think is the most likely catalyst for all this.
Got it. Mainly, most of the arguments between Bitcoin and Ethereum is the fact that, okay, Bitcoin is literally like gold. There's nothing you really can do about it. Unlike Ether, where you can put smart contracts or you could build NFTs on top of it, that there's so much use cases for it. So, very interesting thing. But I'm curious on this. So you mentioned proof of stake. So that happens when Ethereum goes to ETH 2.0. So,
yes.
But at its current form also, that makes an argument that Polkadot does that. Cardano also would do that.
Yep.
And if ETH 2.0 will be next year, or if it drags longer, won't the other networks also somehow have a chance to flip Bitcoin? Or is it Ethereum? Because this is my take on it.
Yeah.
There's not a lot of apps in Cardano. There's not and when you try to at least use it, I feel it's still so far compared to what you have in Ethereum. The apps in Ethereum are so nice, so refined already, and then madami talagang users.
Cardano is actually technically, I don't want to say offshoot of Ethereum, but Charles Hoskinson kasi used to be with Ethereum Foundation and he left because of disagreements with Vitalik. So when he created Cardano, it was very much this is how he wanted to build Ethereum if he was leading Ethereum. And he made some choices there. Some of their biggest differences, I think, is that Cardano seems to have a lot more white papers. And then Ethereum has a lot more just building stuff. They'll just build the code. Which is why you have all of these stories about DeFi projects na nasisira or na-exploit. Kasi parang they just build it. They build, they ship it, and then people use it, and then some of it has bugs. Right. They fix it after. Right. So yung whole Ethereum mindset is very much let's experiment, let's just get it out there and let's see how the market reacts. Ganun yung thinking kasi ng Ethereum. Kaya ang bilis nila . With Cardano naman, it's a slightly slower approach. It's a little bit more on the academic research side. So mas mabagal naman sila. They also have some very fundamental differences, I think. But I'm not as familiar kasi with Cardano. But so what I can tell you is that what you've observed na Cardano software or Cardano apps don't seem to be as refined. That's 100% true. It's younger. It's got fewer developers. And it's less attractive because it's got fewer users, right? So parang if you were a superstar developer, where would you go? You'd want to go to the place that has the most number of users, of course, because you want your work to be used. And generally speaking, that's going to be Ethereum. Generally speaking. So ako, when I make my bets kind of just broadly across the entire cryptocurrency space, I actually only really see two viable long-term assets, and I think it's Bitcoin and Ethereum. I think everything else kasi is trying to challenge Ethereum, but the problem is they're at least 2 or 3 years behind in terms of user adoption and possibly developer adoption. Madali gayahin yung strategies ng Ethereum, but Ethereum is moving a lot faster than these projects can. So lumalaki yung lead nila eh. And ang dami, yun nga, I guess more than that, it's also because there some people in the crypto space, they look at Ethereum as it's like the currency of culture in crypto. That's why you have NFTs there. You've got all of these yield farming things, the blockchain gaming things. That's all built on Ethereum eh. Kasi yun yung parang yung culture ng crypto is embodied by Ethereum. And all of these other guys, Cardano, Tron, Tezos, I guess, all of them are trying to get to parang that same level. I don't think that they can because very very active yung Ethereum development eh. 'Di ba? Pabilisan lang naman kasi to eh. And unfortunately, ang laki ng lead ng Ethereum eh.
If a lot of people are using Ethereum, there should be something very very compelling for them to shift to either Solana, Polkadot, or Cardano, that they have to be 100 times better than Ethereum. So I have some hot takes. There's 10,000 cryptocurrencies right now. Do you believe 99% of them will fail?
I think so, but they will be replaced by way more. I think that the average right now is 4 new coins per day are being launched. So kahit na yung death rate mo is 2 coins per day, we're still plus 2 new coins every 24 hours, So yeah, I think it's too easy to make new coins. So there's always gonna be people who are going to attempt their own take on, either the Bitcoin thing or the Ethereum thing. There's always gonna be new founders, new technologists, stuff like that. People who are gonna try to make this stuff work, and also scammers. There's always gonna be lots and lots more scammers.
And most of them, no, parang I feel that a lot of them look almost the same already. That they're mostly just a medium of exchange. If they're really good, I think the ones that are really good should have been already in the top 100 in terms of market cap altogether. 100% of your net worth is in crypto. How do you buy that water that you're drinking right now?
So every month I have to sell. So I am a reverse dollar cost averager. You know how they say that so in order to get into Bitcoin, the safest way to do it is dollar cost averaging. You buy, I don't know, whatever, 10,000 pesos a month, for example, right? Kasama siya dun sa bills mo for every month, you spend a little bit on Bitcoin. Ako baliktad. Every month I have to sell some Bitcoin or I have to sell some Ethereum in order to cover.
It's Bitcoin you're selling, not the other smaller coins, or?
Well, actually, very recently, mostly Ethereum yung binibenta ko. Because Ethereum was the one that kind of went up eh. Diba? So parang, so syempre, you optimize them. I'm not insane. Syempre, I'm gonna optimize for the thing that is worth more para lang I have to sell a little bit less. So yun. So I sold quite a bit of Ethereum nung I guess April and May as it was hitting 4,000. And okay na ako for the next, I don't know, however long.
87 years.
Hindi naman.
I'm curious. So, but when you sell straight Ethereum or you go Ethereum to USDT just to see what happens first, and then you liquidate your USDT back to peso?
Well, typically kasi I've already made up my mind at that point that I'm gonna shift into a liquidation position. No? So Ethereum to peso na lang yun. I'll just do that direct. And then, I don't know, no turning back at that point, right? And also, I try to parang inaasinta mo yung yung what is my costs gonna look like for the next few months. To try to optimize what you're selling, di ba? Parang so hopefully you're not overdoing it or you're not going under naman. Because you'll feel very very bad if you have to sell again, and then now the price of Ethereum is $1,800, right? Because it was like it's a 50% drop, so that means I'm gonna have to sell way more Ethereum than I should have if I had just kind of budgeted better.
This is a very good story about living off cryptocurrencies. Talaga, you don't see that as much. That a lot of people are using crypto already and transferring it to spend. Siguro before I put this to a close, everything right now is hinged on China, the mining ban, dropping of hash rates, miners going to other countries already. There will always be storylines like this that will bring crypto markets down. To those that are watching this and they really haven't experienced any of this type of volatility, what is something you want to leave with them coming into the second half of 2021? And given that at 30,000, we're far from 64,000, and but we're very very far from 3,000, which we were a couple of years back. What's your advice for them?
So the first thing I want to tell you guys is you need to take care of yourselves first, right? So regardless of what your beliefs are with the technology and its potential, if you're starting to feel the pain right now palang, you need to seriously consider, parang maybe this is the time to just, take a breather, get out of the position na if it's looking really bad for you on a personal level. This is why this advice is very subjective, no? Kasi it kind of depends on the person. Like, are you overextended? Are you over leveraged? If the answer to those questions are yes, then maybe you should really consider just, take the loss and, live to fight another day. Kung kaya. Generally speaking, if you have breathing room though, if you are able to weather it out, you need to understand that the Bitcoin definition of weathering the storm could be 2 or 3 years. So don't prepare yourself for a 6-month hold. Prepare yourself to be holding until 2024. And people find that kind of, like, it sounds like I'm making a joke, but it's actually we have some data kasi to show that is kind of the cycles through which Bitcoin goes through these exponential. Yeah, yung halving is a 4-year cycle kasi. So yung cycle na yun usually coincides with these very large bull markets. Look, by the way, we're not 100% sure if this is the end of the 2021 bull market. I think that's the most important part there. But hindi ka naman mamamatay kasi if kung nagkamali ako dun sa forecast ko na tapos na yung bull market, right? I mean, the question you should be asking yourself is, how do I survive long enough to make sure that my investment actually sees me through and actually has a good return on it? So sometimes the answer to that is reduce the position, right? Reduce the position so you can survive a little bit longer. Sometimes the answer to that is just hold it and stop looking at, just delete the freaking...
Delete the app.
Yeah, delete the app, right? Just stop looking at it na lang because maaasar ka lang eh. It's very hard to give blanket advice on these things without actually knowing about the subjective experiences of all the people that are watching. So I will say that most people have to make their own decision. But understand that when you make a Bitcoin investment, you have to be willing to hold it for much, much longer than 6 months or 12 months, because that's just not how the asset moves. Yung time frames niya are very, very different. Pero yun nga, if you're able to hold, then you're looking at some very large multipliers.
Given what you know right now and your experience right now, at current levels, would you still pick Bitcoin and Ethereum versus, say, Cardano, XRP, Polkadot? Would you go Bitcoin, Ethereum, or these other ones that are, say, mid-tier altcoins?
Yeah. So I'll tell you exactly what my portfolio looks like na lang. I am 50% Bitcoin and I'm 50% Ethereum. That's it.
Okay.
And so I'll tell you this na lang. The reason why I did it that way, because I was trying to make a bet with myself of which would do better, no? So I guess they're roughly equivalent right now in terms of dollar value. Roughly, not exactly. So I was mostly trying to settle a bet in my mind there about which, like, if Ethereum flips Bitcoin, wow, I'm gonna be very happy. And then if Bitcoin continues to go up, I'll still be very happy. I think I'm gonna be generally okay. The reason why I didn't go into the other alts is because I just didn't have enough time to watch every single market signal for all of these different altcoins. And it became this challenge na parang, you know what, like no matter what happens naman, if cryptocurrencies do well, that's always going to be reflected in Bitcoin. And if smart contracts do well, that will always be reflected in Ethereum. Regardless of whether Cardano is technically better or Tezos is technically better, there will be an equivalent market kasi that is going to be betting on the Ethereum version of that. So I feel like I'm covered. Obviously, it's not a perfect cover, pero covered enough. And also just enough na like hindi ako like I'm not gonna be, I'll actually be able to sleep at night and not have to just stay up 24/7 just reading about what's happening in all of these different cryptos. Hindi ko na masundan sa sobrang dami eh. I think that's kind of my biggest problem. Like I try to understand it on a technical on a technological level. It takes time. It takes a lot of time and work and research, and it's hard to follow what everyone is doing. So and I just kind of distilled it down na lang to Bitcoin and Ethereum. It's a slightly simpler life, I guess.
Got it. Amazing words. And I hope you guys got a lot from this. I hope it was something insightful for all of you. If you guys have any questions, feel free to leave it in the description or in the comment section, and then we'll try to make videos on top of that. But it was an honor to have you here in this podcast, and it's nice to hear the thoughts of the Satoshi / Vitalik of the Philippines. So thank you so much. To everyone,
thanks so much, Marvin.
I hope this video helps you trade well, trade strong, trade smart. See you all again soon, and God bless you all.